This is Leave Your Mark. I'm Vince Cortese, and today's guest is Mark Thomas. Mark is a PTSD survivor. He is a police officer in Australia for 6 years at the time he experiences a visual crime suicide that changes his life forever. Mark, thank you for being my guest here today.
Good morning, Vince. Thanks for having me. Very appreciative to be on your show.
Hi there, and welcome. Now it's time for America's favorite podcast, Leave Your Mark, with your host, Vince Cortese.
If it's fly, loose fitted, it's Cortese. If freezing, chubbers in it, it's Cortese.
Leave Your Mark is about inspiring the world, one guest at a time.
Pass the word from Brooklyn to Pittsburgh, from urban to suburb, it's Cortese, you heard?
And here is our host, Vince Cortese.
I want to mention before we start that this is a subject of which most people that experience PTSD do not like to speak about it. And I appreciate your courage in stepping up and sharing with those that don't know what it is or haven't experienced, and giving them a pretty deep insight of what goes on somebody that has this type of experience. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, thank you. And look, it's very important to me that I do use my voice, because I know I can speak about my experiences without being heavily triggered. So I'm able to give people a voice and give some education and awareness to the injury that it is.
We'll touch on it a little bit later, but you mentioned that a large part of the therapy that you get from this is actually getting up and speaking about it. And that really is usually the line of which people don't want to cross. So we'll talk about that and how things have gelled from that point of enjoying setting yourself free from what you experience. So what I would like to do is just get a little background on you. You're Australian born in Victoria, Australia. Just one sibling, your brother Brian, your mother Cheryl, and she's a homemaker, your dad Ron, and he's a bank manager. And you have an unusual experience at the age of 8. Your mother dies from kidney cancer at the age 33. So a childhood that's quite unusual. Do you have any memories from that as the effect that had on you, and how it would play out later on, or you would learn those things later?
You learn so much, and people ask me what it's like to grow up without a mother. I said, I don't really know, because I don't know what it's like to grow up with a mother. So I've got nothing to compare it. I know that the short answer to that is usually say, it sucks. And it has an effect that continues on for the rest of your life. You learn the various stages of grieving, which you don't really have a handle of when you're 8 years old.
Yeah, no,
sure.
that's just.
But look, I've been able to, as much as I dearly love my mum and dearly miss her, and I wish it was different. I know it's not. So again, it's that turning. That's whether we touch on it later on or not. It's very, very important to me. In fact, it's critical that I turn every negative that I experience into a positive. And I've been able to speak to a lot of mates over the years about when they've lost people close to them, what it's like, what to expect. This is what it's like for me. But it's just that it's something that happens to obviously a lot of people. And I consider myself, people say, geez, you're unlucky. And I said, well, you can look at it through that lens, or you can look at it through the lens that I've got, with all due respect to every other father in the world, I've got the best one. And I've got a great brother. And, other people go through worse situations. So
that's what I wanted to touch on. Now, you sounded like you're pretty close with your dad and your brother Brian, and that situation you experienced there would definitely draw you closer together. So you move along then into high school, and while you're going through high school, your activities are sport. You like cricket and Australian rules football, a car interest, and you like working with wood with your hands. So you're at Geelong Technical School, which share with the audience what the schooling like is in Australia and how that progresses from high school and so forth.
So we're back in the 1980s when I was at school. That makes me sound old, doesn't it? There was basically two types of school: a high school and a technical school. And the high school was more the academic side of schooling, whereas a technical school, whilst you're still doing maths, English, sciences, and things like that, but it's also got woodwork and engineering and mechanics and those types of subjects attached to it. And both my brother and I were both technical school lads, and then you can either, after there, you go to university, which is your college, and then get jobs from there. But we both, my brother and I, got apprenticeships out of technical school.
So you're a tradesman, like right at 18 years of age, right?
Yeah.
So this is good
my
now.
trade.
Now, so you leave school and you go to be a mechanic.
Yes.
Okay, so you're a mechanic for 6 years. What are you working on?
Mostly cars. I was pretty lucky. It was a really good little workshop. It wasn't mine, my boss's business, but he'd do all the small little tinkly things, and I'd just do all the engine rebuilds, all the fun stuff. So that was, it was good. I enjoyed it, but it ultimately wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Now, I think what's kind of interesting is that athlete creeped on you. You go to England and you play cricket for 6 months.
Yeah.
How did you pull that one?
Well, a lot of Australians and Kiwis, for that matter, New Zealanders, head over there, and our winter is their summer. So we go over and have the experience. It's like I've got a 15-year-old lad who loves cricket, and I'll certainly be sending him over there to do that at some stage, because it's just it's a great experience. Learn a lot of things, being away from home for that extended period of time for the first time. Me, it caused me to grow up a lot.
Yeah, well, in a different culture too. So
different culture, different climates, different. It's just a great experience, and there's something that I'd always wanted to do. So, I had the chance to do it, and off I went.
Shortly thereafter, the police academy inkling is in you. So you go into the police academy. First of all, what made you decide to want to be a police officer at this point in your life?
Well, just helping people. The idea that you can help people when it's their worst day, and you can have that little bit of influence to try and put a smile on their face or help them through a critical incident or something of that nature is very appealing. And I think a lot of that stems from losing mum at a young age, and being able to help people. The empathetic nature within me was obviously pretty powerful. So that's where I think that's come from.
No, I mean, you're also pretty fearless, because being a police officer in Australia is a little different than in the United States. So share with me, because, you're putting your life in danger every day you get up and go to work. And they make that very clear to you before you start. So understanding what's at stake, does this deter you? Does this determine you to go in and help people more? What were you feeling?
Well, you sort of don't really think of it kind of that way. It's interesting in that once you go out on the road, your senses are very heightened. You're aware of your surroundings, and you make sure you don't put yourself in any situations that you don't need to, where you could get hurt, but also knowing full well that there is a certain section of the community that doesn't like you. But it's not personal. It's just they don't like me for what I'm wearing, not me as a person. So you got to make that distinction.
So you come in with a bigger mindset, and so you can maintain your empathy. This is the exact reasons why you should be a police officer. The core reasons are in a moral space of which you can do the service that you're intending. So much appreciation and kudos to you on that.
Thank you.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Be our friend on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You are listening to Vince Cortese. We just want you to leave your mark.
Now, in 2015 and 16, you turn into a speaker. But before we get into that, I want to go into the topic of our conversation is your PTSD.
Yeah.
And tell me about how the day goes, and kind of run me through the day of, you're on the job for 6 years at this point. You're familiar with what's going on. Probably begins to feel very routine in your work, and then this happens. So share with me how it goes down.
Yeah, so it was the 8th of April 2003, and we got called, myself and a bloke I'm still really good mates with, Phil Lum, and we got called to a suicide, and it was sort of the way the call was given was that it just happened. So we went there with lights and sirens and making plans for when we go there, and then we got there, we went inside the one-bedroom little flat, and then we kind of slowed down a little bit to make sure we're not missing anything. And then I looked around the corner and the deceased was there. So I won't go into the gory details. But I looked at the deceased for all of, the blink of an eye, basically. As quick as you can look one way and turn away, that's about it. But my mind took a complete photograph of that, and I felt it physically in my chest. And prior to this day, I've been to any number of other types of suicide, drug overdose deaths, fatal accidents, which, first responders, that's what we go to. So, and I'd never reacted this way before. And it's the really defining, not defining whether that's the right word or not, but the feeling in the chest, the actual, it was like I got pushed in the chest. Someone had pushed me. Well, they could be down now what I believe to be anxiety, but it was, I knew at that stage, I knew immediately that there was something very, very different about this day. I went outside, I left the unit, went outside, and evidently whoever entered that unit and located the deceased had also rung family and friends, and they started turning up outside. So I was giving them the death messages, which I would have much rather have done rather than go back inside. That was just a no-go zone for me from there on. So, and then, I went, we both of us completed what we had to do at the scene, and went back to the station, did the associated paperwork, and then just basically got on with the rest of the shift, and I didn't do anything about it. And that's like, this
Now,
is 2003.
it sounded like the way that it went was such an impression on you. It almost like the world went into slow motion for a little while for you to process what had happened. You shared with me about a woman telling you the history of the building or where the incident happened, and then a question that she asked you that I think is just very interesting.
Yeah, well, as part of, like my continual recovery and, educating others, I do a lot of speaking. You sort of alluded to that earlier on. And I presented to a group of police officers one day, and one of the ladies in the crowd come up after it. And she said, have you got an open mind? I said, yeah, I've got a very open mind. She said, I'm just going to run this by her. And she related a story, and it was somewhere in America where she was staying at a house or something similar with some friends. And one of the friends became very mentally unwell out of nowhere. And then so they went and saw some clinicians and therapists, and couldn't really put it down to anything. And they relayed this story to someone else. And they said, there's a chance, because what they backtracked, and they found out that the room that this person was staying in, someone had died. And this other person suggested that the spirit of the person who died had jumped into their friend's body. She said, do you think that could have happened to you at that scene? And like, the shorter answer is, I don't know. And this is where it's important to have an open mind. Some people would go, that's an absolute possibility, whereas other people would go, absolutely no chance. If you believe in that, yeah, no. So I'm somewhere in the middle where I think anything's possible, and I think it's a case of, well, for those people that don't believe that, well, okay, can you disprove that? Like, I can't prove it, but you can't disprove it. So it's an interesting one. I don't. The gut feel is no. I think it was just the sheer sight of the scene, but I can't be 100% on that. Anything could have happened.
What makes you now? What makes you think that you're not 100% certain? Is like, would you recognize possibly a difference in your decision making, or possibly in your moods? Because we're, as humans, especially as a police officer, they always references that intuition or that gut feeling. And I mean, I think something pushing on your chest is bigger than a gut feeling, and the gut feeling usually comes from the inside out, not the outside in.
Mm.
So what you had was whatever it was extremely unique. And I think as you would continue to go through therapy here, you know, the idea that you're not open to it and you're not close to it kind of it makes it even more intriguing from the standpoint that what really did happen to you back there.
Yeah, it's absolutely intriguing. I found my whole journey to be an unbelievably fascinating process. Obviously, not one I recommend going through, but on that, so what if I had not have improved through all the therapy I've done, and like I was not medicated for a couple of years, then I plateaued, then I was on medication for a while, then I stopped it because I just wanted to see where I was. And now I'm back on medication, but I responded really well to therapy. You know, if I do my daily meditations, and like, I haven't drank alcohol since 2013. You know,
Congratulations.
My diet, thank you. My diet's pretty good. So I do all these other supplementary things that all add up to me being continue to be able to contribute to society, to function quite well, to be a decent husband, father,
I want to
brother,
ask you a
son.
question. You mentioned also now that you didn't want your wife to know what you had experienced and what was going on through you mentally and emotionally.
Yep.
And the strength of you to do that is fantastic, just unbelievable. And then the idea of realizing at what point that instead of keeping this information from her, and it was probably weighing you down even more, then what process did you work through that she would eventually find out? So share with me initially why you didn't want to tell her, what was going through your mind at that point.
Well, this is where when you are mentally injured, which post-traumatic stress is a mental injury, or you have a mental health condition such as, you know, depression, anxiety, which is all growing within me, your brain plays tricks on you. Now, my kids were pretty young at that stage, of about 3 and 5, and you know, I was protecting it from them. Absolutely, they too young to understand. But my brain, what I should have done back then, this is when I was getting at my worst, was my brain was telling me, as you just said, then I've got to protect my wife from it, when she's probably the first person I should have sat down with and said, you know, I'm not feeling too well psychologically here, something's not right, and we can talk it through, and then, you know, take the necessary actions and steps to alleviate whatever was going on. But I didn't, because, as you said, I need to protect her from that. And that's where, when you are struggling to this point, it's your brain plays tricks on you, and that's, I think, a lot of the time that's what leads to people to become suicidal and you know, take their lives, because their brains are telling them that the world will be better off without them, and they're no good at anything, and that's, you know, obviously a very, very dangerous situation.
Did you feel like that increased the pressure? What was going on, not sharing that with her? Like, what was your feeling when she would, you know, you would tell her and she found out?
Well, I didn't really know what was happening to me. I didn't. I knew I wasn't feeling overly good for a while. Well, hopefully good's the greatest understatement of all time. I was feeling completely horrible, but I had booked in to see. So it all kind of culminated in February. I'm going to say February 6th, 2013, where I went to a wellbeing forum at work. Kind of ironic, and one of the lecturers up there was talking about PTSD, depression, anxiety, and suicide, and had all these things on the PowerPoint, and it made me realise that I'm in a world of trouble here. So actually, after that session, I left and booked in to see one of our clinicians, one of our work-related therapists. And that was the following Monday. But then on the Sunday night, I had what my first treating clinician said was a catastrophic loss of self. So basically, I'd let this go for so long.
What's the length of time is that?
Well, just about 10 years after
a decade.
incident.
Wow.
So yeah. So it's just continued to grow within me. Yeah. I was in a very, very bad way. And I just didn't realize what was going on. And so I was uneducated and very naive to mental health.
Sometimes that protects us too, though, the naivety.
Yeah.
And so now she finds out, you move forward, you're going through these therapies, and you're 20 years removed from this incident now, or close to it. You said you were getting close to celebrating an anniversary of it. So what I really like talking to you, and I want to bring this up, when we were in the beginning of the interview and speaking about what's obviously a very delicate situation with your mother's passing, your response was that you didn't want to have a bad outlook on life. You wanted to see the positive side of things. And it's like, here we are on the other side of life with you mentally and emotionally being rattled, and you're still coming back to your core. So the idea that good person inside there is stronger and wants to come out more than this person that got terrified and meddled with mentally and emotionally. Again, these are giant steps. Like, your behavior towards moving, being happy, being sane, having a normal life is commendable to you, and your not only your approach, but your willingness to continue to stay in the fight. So that being said, we come up to the point now where you're being stimulated by this. You're turning into a pseudo celebrity, even though you don't want any of that. And you're talking to Americans, and that's what we do to everybody. So share with me how this speaking starts. Where was the first time you get up and speak about this publicly, and what has come of that?
So I reckon the first time I spoke about my journey would have been 2014. I reckon I was asked by a person to present to another one of my work units within my organisation. Yeah, no worries, cool. I'll talk about it. I'm happy to talk about it. And then I worked out reasonably quickly that the more I talk about it, the better I feel. I made the idea that I've got a whole stack of poison in me, and to get that poison out of me, I need to talk about it. So, we'll be hundreds of times. I've told my story to, various policing units and all sporting organisations, women's groups, men's groups, the whole gamut of society. I've told my story to, and COVID it was a little bit more difficult doing it online, but yeah, having the live crowd's always good. It's just like at the start again, it's important. Like, yes, it's healthy for me, and that's ultimately why I do it. But also, what happened to me because I was uneducated and I was naive and I didn't know what the signs and symptoms were. So the more I can speak about it with various audiences, it's helping to educate people. It's getting the word out there. Lowering the stigma is critically important. and it's fun. I enjoy doing it.
If you are listening from Australia, Florida, or just from around the corner,
From East Coast to West Coast outlets, if you're not to the dirty South straight, make a left and body.
contact us. Leave your mark with your host, Vince Cortese.
You're also doing podcasts, and
Yeah.
you're talking about the awareness of this and the mental health. So mental health is a very big issue right now. So I would imagine you're in a lot of demand as far as people wanting to have you come in and share your story with their audience as well. So you have Charity First Responders Code 9 PTSD. Share with me what your charity is about.
Yeah. So when I was in hospital, I felt intensely alone. That's I was thinking no one else could possibly know what I'm going through, which is obviously complete and utter rubbish. And again, that's one of those brain tricks I was talking about. So once I got back to work full time, and recovered sufficiently enough, I just started a little support group for professional first responders to be able to. So for those people that are newly diagnosed or struggling, then we can get around them and say, you're not alone. All right, we're with you on this. We've walked in your shoes. We'll help you out. And that just blossomed. Excuse me. It blossomed into a registered charity here in Australia where we raise funds for assistance dogs that have saved a couple of my mates' lives. Genuinely saved their life because they're such powerful tools to use with mental injuries. And we help our people with meals and send people away on respite weekends when they just need a break, and house and garden maintenance and a whole stack of other things. So it's again, it's another very, very positive thing that's come out of my very extremely negative situation. So again, got to turn things around.
No, and it's pivotal from the moment it happens because you go into a different conscious mind. And as you said, you're naive. So you're in the process of reprogramming yourself moving forward. So I think that I want to encourage you to write a book on your experience. I think it would be very helpful. But I want you to share with me some of your social media links now. But before you do that, you're just 50 years of age this past year, correct?
Just ticked over the 50.
Are you prepared to retire? Or as that's already happened?
No, I'm still going. I reckon I've got about another 10 years or so.
Oh, wow.
I still really enjoy work. I've got a
Okay.
great work unit. I love what I do. The people I work with are great. So while I'm still mentally and physically able to, I'm happy
on
to
the force.
continue on. Yeah.
That's amazing. Absolutely commendable. What I would like to do now is ask you the question that all my guests answer. How would you like to leave your mark?
For me, it comes down to when the time comes that I leave this great big chunk of dirt hurtling through space, if people just go, you know what, he did a fair bit for mental health. Like there's other things, obviously, children, things like that. But overall, for me in this kind of subject is, I want to change people's lives for the better with their mental health, just to educate more people, which ultimately comes down to suicide prevention. It's such a tragic outcome to something that is, people don't have to do it. It's tragic in every sense of the word when people take their own lives. So the more education, the more times I can tell my story to say, well, if he can come back, there's no reason why anyone else can't sort of come back to the brink.
It's beautiful. Heart of gold, Mark. A heart of gold you got, man. It's like everything is dialed in. You're taking care of yourself and you're taking care of the bigger picture in your community and the people in it. And they need more people like you. We all knew we could use some of you over here in the States in a big way. So
appreciate the words.
Before we cut out, let's give me a couple of your social media links that we can tell people to go and check out and get more details on your story and what you're up to next.
Yeah, so website's markthomas.com.au. Mark with a K. Well, basically, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all at or / after ice melts. There's a little bit of a story before that. So just quickly, I went to Nepal pre-diagnosis, and I went to Nepal post-diagnosis, trekking, and vastly different experiences. And after I went was after the ice had melted. So that's how I come up with that. It's a little bit of a sort of side story. But yeah, after ice melts is the tagline for everything. And on LinkedIn, I think if you searched Sergeant Mark Thomas, I think it would be the easiest way.
Okay. After the ice melt sounds like a good title of a book.
Yeah.
I'm pushing the book. I'm pushing the book more. We'll get you on Amazon. That's the quickest way to do it. But I want to thank you again for coming by. And you're over in Australia. It's what time of the day is it over there?
It's 9:35 in the morning, and I'm sitting in the back of my car while my son practices cricket.
And it's 6:34 here in the East Coast of the United States. So this is the beauty of the internet. I get to share a story on the other side of the world. So I appreciate you being here, and be blessed.
Appreciate the time. Thanks very much.
Thanks for listening to Leave Your Mark today. Tune into our next episode of Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese. Be blessed.
You just left your mark. Thanks for listening. Listen to more episodes on demand. Just click Leave Your Mark with Vince Cortese.